allied with temperature records showing a decline, global warming advocates still cling to the notion that the world is cooling because of global warming. But what we need to remember is global temperatures have remained reasonably flat since a decline in 1998, and cooling trends are now being observed despite the fact that carbon dioxide levels have increased in the atmosphere. One central problem for those who promote the idea of man-made global warming is the Earth's temperature record on almost all timescales. In the last decade, there has been no clear warming trends, as the UK Met Office and IPCC's own figures demonstrate. In the last century, much of the warming occurred prior to 1940, when humans' emissions of CO2 were relatively small compared to today. During the post-war economic boom, when one would expect the temperature to rise, the world cooled from the 1940s till the mid-70s. Again, this is evident from the executive data used by the IPCC. But it's important to look back further in time, 1,000 years. The climate record, which used to be accepted as the standard account for this period, was published in the first IPCC report. But this account posed a problem. 1,000 years ago, there was time of warm period, apparently warmer than today, known to climatologists as the medieval warm period. This was followed by a relatively cold period, known as the Little Ice Age, from which, over the past 200 to 300 years, seem to have made a slow, welcome recovery. The ice core data is frequently cited as principal evidence to argue that CO2 is the Earth's main climate driver. It is, in a way, the jewel in the crown of the theory of man-made global warming. But the ice core data does not show that CO2 drives climate. It shows very clearly that variations in temperature precede rises in atmospheric CO2, not the other way around. The two phenomena are divided by a time lag of several hundred years. There is no evidence that CO2 has ever driven the climate in the past, nor is there any compelling evidence that it is doing so now. A bit ago there was 3,000 scientific robots studying the ocean, and they sent back a puzzling message really for climate change people. These diving instruments suggested that the oceans have not warmed up at all over the past 4 or 5 years. Jennifer Morrissey, a biologist and senior fellow of Melbourne-based think tank, the Institute of Public Affairs, said, "Actually, there's been cooling. If you take 1998 as your reference point, and also you could take 2002 as your reference point, then temperatures have plateaued. This is certainly not what you would expect if carbon dioxide is driving temperature, because carbon dioxide levels have been increasing, but temperatures have actually been coming down over the past 10 years, she said." The head of the IPCC, which is the Intergovernmental Panel of Climate Change, has actually acknowledged it too. Also, William Gray, the well-known Colorado State University hurricane forecaster, routinely uses the annual National Hurricane Conference as a platform to bash global warming. Gray argues that the scientific consensus on global warming is bogus and a mild form of McCarthyism, has developed towards those scientists who do not agree that mankind is in danger. He said, "We are also brainwashing our children on the warming topic. We have no better example than Al Gore's alarmist and inaccurate movie, which is being shown in our schools and being hawked by warming activists." One of the central philosophies of the climate change alarmism, and an image that adorned the cover of Al Gore's An Inconvenient Truth, the contention that global warming causes deadly hurricanes, has been completely discredited by the expert who first proposed it. Hurricane buff and professor of atmospheric science at MIT, Kerry Emanuel, asserted for over 20 years that global warming breeds more frequent and stronger storms, and he shot to prominence just 1 month before Hurricane Katrina in 2005, when he delivered the final proof that global warming was already causing extreme weather events and wrecking livelihoods. Kerry Emanuel was subsequently acknowledged with a place in Time magazine's 100 People Who Shape Our World. Al Gore was so inspired by Emanuel and his research that he devoted the iconic front cover image of his 2006 movie, The Inconvenient Truth, to his warning, portraying a hurricane emerging from a CO2 belching smokestack. Unfortunately though, for the Church of Environmentalism, who ceasingly professes to have a monopoly on truth and insists that the debate is over on global warming, well, MRT's Kerry Emanuel has completely recanted his position and now admits that hurricanes and storms will actually decline over the next 200 years and have little or no correlation with global temperature change whatsoever. Another person who has had enough of all these lies, the Weather Channel founder, wants to sue Al Gore for global warming fraud. Weather Channel founder John Coleman expressed his intention to sue Al Gore for fraud. Coleman states his conviction that man-made advocates would lose the case if a fair debate, something that the establishment is loath to allow, was allowed to take place. Coleman said, "Since we can't get a debate, I thought perhaps if we had a legal challenge and went into a law court where it was our scientists and their scientists and all the legal proceedings with all the discoveries and all the documents from both sides and scientific testimony from both sides, we could finally get a good solid debate on the issue." Some of the best measurements of global air temperatures come from American weather satellites, and they show wobbles but no overall change since 1999. That levelled off is just what is expected by the chief rival hypothesis, which says that the sun drives climate change more than greenhouse gases do, and especially after becoming more active during the 20th century. The sun now stands at a roughly but high state of activity. Global warming is just one of the ways the governments of the world try to fool you, and it is a world con. Here are a couple of ideas for you to play with. The Club of Rome, a